Good evening. I'm Jack Remington, your host of the Jack Remington NFL channel. Had a great week last week. 4 wins, 1 loss for the contest. This video is primarily for the Super Contest Simulator. Fish Sang on pregame.com is running a little just for fun for us. And first place is worth 5,000 units. I think that's a record since he's been doing this for close to 10 years. And he's a pretty good guy. I've followed him for years. And so I gave it a shot. We went 2-0 in our Survivor pool. And I want to talk about the Survivor pool first. This week we're taking the Chicago Bears for 1 entry and the Philadelphia Eagles for the other entry. My teaser are lost on both ends. I had the Raiders plus a half a point and Tennessee Titans plus 16 or 17, whatever it was. Once I lost the first leg with the Raiders, I just gave up. I did watch the first quarter of the Titans-Bills game, and they were competitive, but I think when I'm reading, when I had a couple guys tell me the next day, was that the Titans mailed it in. And Vrabel, I'm telling you, Mike Vrabel for Tennessee is a very good coach. I think he's better than his former coach mate, McDaniels, who's they're also Bill Belichick disciples. I think Vrabel's actually the better motivator. I'm going to take you back to when Josh McDaniels going out that 6-0 start when he was head coach of Denver Broncos, whatever year it was. And he got it in midfield, and he was really hot dogging it, and he turned some of his players off, and they proceeded to go to 2 wins and 8 losses the rest of the way to finish 8 and they fired him. Dear Uncle Bill, can I come back? And Bill Belichick took him back because he is a good coach. You see him on the sideline arguing with Tom Brady all the time. I question his ability to coach as a head coach. Maybe he learned something from his Denver Bronco days. So I just want to, if those of you who've been around a long time, I hope you remember that. And it just popped in my head. It's not part of the script. I got a couple notes here. So let's get to the picks. Staying in a rotation, and I have to go back and forth between my 2 screens here. Our first entry, we're taking the New England Patriots plus 2.5. So the line is fixed when he sets it out on Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're taking the Patriots plus 2.5. They're hosting the Baltimore Ravens. There's a lot of people taking the Ravens. I mean, they're 87% of the tickets that I got on this sportsinsights.com. It's got 87%. On this one, it's got 72% of the tickets. And the line has not moved. It's stuck at 2.5. When you look at the matchup, both teams got injuries galore. On the Baltimore Ravens, I see that Lamar Jackson is the first player you see. He's got a problem. He's got an elbow problem. He's not 100%. We already knew Mac Jones. He had a back spasm or something, and he still played last week. And he did okay from what I saw. And everybody's thinking, well, the Ravens are going to bounce back. And the Ravens were way ahead on Miami. Miami comes storming back. So I'm going to pull that game up real quick and I won't put the graphics up there because people get mad about the graphics. They don't want to do any reading. They just want to hear me with the picks and my process. To halftime, they were up 28-7. Their percentage of winning was like 97%. I mean, they were so high, the percentage to win this game. But I told you in week 1 that Miami is a dangerous team because that Tyreek Hill, that one player, I know what you think, it's 53, it says 11 men on offense, 11 men on defense, 11 men on special team. I get all that. But that one man makes a difference. And Miami has improved. Miami has improved drastically. There's 2 players in the NFL that are just what I call barn burners. Barn burner player, they can score at any position, any field, and they can run that 100-yard field in 7 seconds or less, and they can score. And you throw them the ball, and if they're wide open, if they can zig and zag and do what they do. And those 2 players are Tyreek Hill and Saquon Barkley of the Giants. Okay, those 2 guys, to me, they're untouchable. Oh yeah, you'll eventually get them because you got 11 players to tackle one guy. Those professional players, one of them is going to get them most of the time, and I understand that. Miami has that player, and Miami's got Tyreek Hill. They're bashing Tua and the quarterback, and he doesn't need to throw 100% of his passes completions. He needs 1 strike in the 4th quarter, and Tyreek Hill is going to beat you. There's a real good handicapper who I revere, and he picks winners. And if you want to buy picks, I would recommend this guy. And I recommend very few. He said something a couple weeks ago I can't wrap my head around. He goes, well, running back is running back, and the defense back. It's not true. There are slight atomical differences between certain players, and their health is also a concern. I can't believe the guy said, I think maybe the other guy was pushing him and he got impatient and wanted to get the video moving. I'm trying to give the guy the benefit of the doubt, but he crushed me when he said, oh, a running back is running. No, a running back is not a running back. There's Walter Payton, and there's a guy from the Atlanta Falcons who had 1,001 yards. He insisted on staying in the game in the 4th quarter. He had an 8-yard loss. He finished the season with 993 yards. I can't remember the guy's name. I don't want to look it up. There's running backs and there's running backs. There's a difference. There's a difference in quarterbacks. Geno Smith versus Tom Brady. Who are you going to take? That should be a no-brainer. No one should take more than 1 second to answer that question. Now I'm rambling. The Ravens and the Dolphins. They start off no score the first half of the third quarter, so the Ravens hanging on to 28-7 lead. Tagovailoa, the quarterback from Miami, he hit a 14-yard pass, but the Ravens came right back. Lamar Jackson was a 79-yard run to close out the third quarter, 35-14. He got a 3-touchdown lead in the fourth quarter. And I can't find the stats. I'm not going to look. I'm going to here to tell you at the end of 3 quarters, when you're up 21-0, okay, and you're home, you have a 93% chance of winning that game. And the Ravens, they lost. Tagovailoa hit a guy from 2 yards, craft. Then Tyreek Hill, 48 yards. And then Tyreek Hill, 60 yards. Less than 2 minutes. Boom, boom. Now they tied it up 35-35. With 2:18 left, the Ravens managed to kick a 51-yard field goal with Justin Tucker, one of the best kickers in the NFL. They were still 88% of chance to win this game. What happens? With 14 seconds left, Tagovailoa hits Jay Waddle with 7 yards, and he went 42-38. The team stats: Baltimore outrushed them 155-86. Passing yards: 461 to Baltimore 380. Lamar Jackson played one of the best games of his career, and he lost. Okay, he didn't get sacked. They got to Miami once, so Ravens won the sack battle. Miami's quarterback 36 for 50. Lamar Jackson 21 for 29. They won that battle. They both punted twice. There were no fumbles lost. Penalties: Miami had 8 penalties for 51 yards. The Baltimore Ravens had 1 penalty for 5 yards. That's it. They destroyed them in the penalty box. I'm here to tell you, Baltimore did everything but win that game. And Tyreek Hill, that one player I told you about, all you got to do is one time, boom. But he did it twice in the fourth quarter, and he beat the Ravens. So we're taking the New England Patriots, and you're thinking, aren't you afraid Lamar Jackson's going to do it to the New England Patriots? No, I am not. I'm going to tell you why. The New England Patriots, their defenses they start playing good around this time of the year, like they did last year. And you look at head-to-head, New England got them a couple years ago, 23-17, and they were underdogs. New England was a 7-point underdog, and they won at home, and they won that game. This was when the Ravens were kicking ass. They were 14-2 that year. I'm here to tell you, Bill Belichick, he knows how to play this team. Well, the Patriots, I'm here to tell you, and this is why I don't fold you over under, because they got a set of 43. Now it's push up to 40. Well, open to 42.5, and now it's going to push up to 44. That's rare for a New England game. Okay, they're telling you that Belichick might turn it to a shootout. The shootout favors the Patriots. You're thinking, how can you say that? When the bombs are throwing, like it was in the Miami Baltimore game last week, Lamar Jackson is primarily a runner first, and people forget that. He's got a bad elbow. He's not going to put that ball in here like he was trying to do in the second half against Miami. And New England's defense will pick them off, and Miami's just couldn't quite do that. I think New England's going to get some turnovers, where it's a more Miami game, there were very few turnovers. And Belichick's come up with a plan. He may turn into a shootout, but he may lock it down and just contain Jackson. The hell with the passing, which still turns to a shootout, because when Mac Jones gets the ball, he's going to tell him to crank it down the field. And Baltimore defense, their defense is decimated. Their injury list is a mile long. Look at the cornerbacks and defensive backs on the injury list. You'll see why I picked New England over Baltimore. Okay, let's get to the next pick. We are taking the Carolina Panthers plus the 2.5, hosting the New Orleans Saints. Now, the Panthers have lost 9 or 10 or 11 straight games in the NFL. They started out 3-0 last year. They look at world beaters. McCaffrey was doing pretty good. Then he got hurt, and he came back. McCaffrey's doing okay this year so far. The Saints, what a dumpster fire. And they cost me last week for my perfect week. It's not why I'm picking against them. When you look at the matchup, the Saints have got an injury list a mile long, just like the Baltimore Ravens. And Carolina, when you look head-to-head, this is a division rivalry. I'm hearing rumors about the hot seat. I got 2 guys from one guy that still does the Vegas thing. He said Carolina, there's some loud whispers turning into a discussion, concern, and Matt Rule, he might be on the hot seat, and the owner is not too happy. Well, they're the wounded animal. If you go back to previous 4 times before that, the Saints beat them 4 in a row, and twice at Carolina. So I just think maybe Carolina can get this thing turned around. Looking at injury report really quick, Jameis Winston's got cracked chip vertebrae in his back, and he's still playing. He's questionable. Now, probable. He's no longer questionable. He's probable. The other day he was questionable. I should screenshot it. And on the Carolina side, McCaffrey probably has got an ankle, and that's a serious thing. But if McCaffrey can play, I still like Carolina's chances. But if you go down the Saints list here, they got it listed a mile long. These are huge losses for the Saints. I mean, the Saints got some problems. Up next, they got to play. They're hosting a night game in Minnesota. I just think that they're not going to look ahead. I mean, I think they're more afraid of Minnesota than they are Carolina, but they're 2 different teams, and it's possible that they're looking ahead. The Saints supposed to have this great defense. Well, they're not that great. I mean, when they needed stops, they couldn't get it. I just think that I think Carolina is going to sneak out the win here, and the coach on the wounded animal theory is what I'm banking on. Okay, then going to the next game. Okay, next on rotation, I'm going back and forth on this game. I should pick a different game. I'm sticking with it. I'm going to make the decision. I'm going to stick with it. We're taking the Tennessee Titans +2 at home. They're both teams are 0-2. I'll put this in the middle of the video. I meant to put it at the beginning. I got notes, so I forgot to put my notes. This is the hardest week in the NFL to handicap. Week 3 is the hardest week in the NFL to handicap. I'm saying it every year, every video. Look at my old videos on the other channels. Why? Because the 0-2 teams, they either should get off the pot. They got to win. You even get a tie, something. If they go to 0-3, it used to be their season was over. Now we got a 17th game. So now weeks 3 and 4 are going to be the harder to handicap. And if 0-3 team can somehow win in week 4, they can continue. So this added extra game breathes life into these 0-2 teams. So it's not as dire as you think. And instead of trying to finish 500, 8-8, well, now you can go 9-8 and put pat on the back, and that does wonders for your team if you had a bad start. There are some pundits that did pick Tennessee to have a bad start and to drop off the playoff circle. There's 5 teams that drop off every year in the playoffs. There's 14 teams. There's 5 new ones that didn't play in the playoffs last year. A lot of them picked Tennessee, and I thought, why? They got that running game. They got Tannehill. He's not that bad. But guess what? I can see why the pundits turned out to be right, and I might be turning out to be wrong. They were the number 1 seed last year. The Raiders, they've improved a lot. They were on their way until they fired John Gruden. They were 3-0. They were the top-ranked team in the NFL after the 3rd week last year, and I remember that. And the defense just went to shit, but they recovered. They did just enough here and there and had a little bit of a pass rush here and there. That pass rush is not there now. Something happened. It's McDaniel versus Mike Vrabel. They're both disciples of Bill Belichick and both worked on his team. Vrabel, I think, is his first coaching assignment, but McDaniels left years ago to coach Denver Broncos. And having said that, I just think that Vrabel's a better coach. Now, hopefully not one of them's not going to do the other one any favors here, if you know what I mean. For most of the week, I was stuck on the Raiders. It's 60-40. The tickets are on Tennessee. I get that. And I don't like to take tickets that are 60-40, but money has been coming in lately on the Raiders, which is a concern. But that concern is actually going to be in our favor. It's now 57% of the money's on Vegas. Some money's coming on Tennessee. So it's still bouncing back and forth. We're getting Titans +2. So we'll take it. And look up the matchup really quick here. I'll make this quick. Vegas, they got Denver on deck. I mean, it's a division rivalry. That game is going to be more important than the game they're playing today. And both teams are 0-2, and both teams are going to try to win. I get that. Or the Colts are at Indianapolis next week, where they beat them last year. The last time they played, on October 2nd, they got them in overtime. I think Tennessee is not going to look ahead. They're not thinking, oh, we might have an easy game. If anything, they may think, well, we don't have to worry about Indianapolis. We need to worry about the Raiders. And it's hard picking 0-2 team versus 0-2 team, but we're getting the home dog, despite the home dog crap I keep talking about. Nance only had 12 first downs after that decent start. They only rushed for 80 yards. And they held Buffalo to 101 yards, but they got sacked 10-0 twice. They did lose 2 fumbles. They lost the turnover battle 2-0. The penalties, they lost 87 yards to 49. I emailed a couple guys, and they told me that Tennessee, once they fumbled the ball a couple of times, they mailed it in. These are people I respect and got more hours watching TV and football than I do. The Raiders, they had that big lead on the Cardinals and lost that game. How do you do that? They were up 20-0 at the half and lost this game. 3rd quarter, the Cardinals get on the board with a 5-yard pass from Kyler Murray. And the Raiders dance back with a field goal, up 23-7. They're still in good shape to finish the 4th quarter. Know what happens? They score twice, and they get 16 points to tie. 2 touchdowns, 2-point conversions, converted them both from Kyler Murray. He ran one and passed the second one. Tied up 23-23. They had to have exactly those plays to tie this game up. And then fumble recovery for 59 yards in 4 minutes to the overtime. Vegas did everything but win it, but they got outrushed 143-80. Kyler Murray ran all over them. They both got 1 sack. Vegas lost that 1 fumble. They lost turnover battle 3-1. There's just no way that the Raiders should have lost this game, but they did. Now Vrabel's going to see that, and he's going to pick this defense apart. He's going to turn Tannehill loose. Everybody's bashing Tannehill. He's not. I'm telling you, he's better than people think he is. I would actually take him over Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is a runner. He's the Lamar Jackson 2.0, if you want to call him that. I think Tennessee's just going to do it here. Tennessee is also the wounded animal. Vegas, they're hard to put that thumb under. Derek Carr, if he stays healthy, they'll win some games. But If he gets hurt, if the pass rush for Tennessee's got a lot of injuries, especially on the offensive line, they get their all-pro tackles, or 2 of them are out. Derrick Henry, he doesn't have to get 100 yards. He needs to get just 60 or 70. And Raiders not that good against the run. They're not that good on defense. I'm taking the Titans here, and that's it. Titans +2. Staying in rotation for the next game we're going to talk about, we're going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars +7 at San Diego, at Los Angeles. I keep calling them San Diego Chargers, forgive me. Los Angeles Chargers. Decent split. This line opened at 10, it got down to 7. That's a big move in the NFL. The initial money was Chargers 76 versus the Jacksonville 24. Now it's almost 50-50. It's Chargers 55 to Jacksonville 45 on the sportsinsight.com. You go to covers.com live. It's Los Angeles Chargers -3.5. And I'm looking. Let me screenshot this now, so I can pin this up here for everybody, and I'll put this in the video. Right now, it's the Chargers -3.5. So something wants to happen, and let me pull up the matchup really quick. I'm trying to make this a quick video. I'm here to tell you, it has nothing to do with the head-to-head. It's the injury report. That's what's driving the betting in this game. I can just feel it. I can just tell it. Jaguars has 1 player on their injury report, and it's a defensive end named Jay Smith. He's out for the year, injured reserve with a knee, and it happened August 18th. Happened over 6 weeks ago. When you look at the Chargers, they don't have that many injuries. Matter of fact, and all the screenshots and all the things I'm looking at, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they only got 8 players, but the 1 player is concerning me is Justin Herbert, questionable. And I think Chase Daniels is the backup on this team, and he's serviceable, but he doesn't have the arm Justin Herbert's got. I'm here to tell you, this is a huge loss. He's got the fractured ribs. If he can't play, I'm telling you, Jacksonville can win this game outright. I'd put a little bit of sprinkle on the money line if I was in Vegas. Keenan Allen, questionable, hamstring. I'm telling you, as a wide receiver, that's the one position you can't have a hamstring pull on. And the second position you can't have a hamstring on is a running back. And the third position is a quarterback. I'm telling you. And this Keenan Allen, he was critical. He speaks for himself. Put a little sprinkle on the Jacksonville Jaguars. You can thank me later. And that's how I handicap that game. And Jacksonville's defense is a real deal. I've narrowed it down between 3 games. The Rams at Arizona, Green Bay at Tampa Bay, and the 49ers at Denver. Think of it this way. If you have to go on the road with these favorites, and they're all, the lines, I don't recall a week 3, the 0-2 death week, I used to call it the death week. The hardest week in the NFL's handicap is week 3. Just pretend you're the road team. And who would you rather play? Would you rather play the Cardinals, who just pulled off that miraculous upset and saved Kyler Murray's justification of getting his big contract? Or would you want to face Tampa Bay? They're still 2-0. They were 2 tough road games against 2 decent opponents. They weren't pushovers. And Tom Brady is still Tom Brady. The offensive line and their 3 receivers, and 1 guy got suspended. He shut that guy for giving Tom Brady crap. Or would you rather face the Denver Broncos? Okay, well, the Broncos, out of all these teams, the Broncos actually had the best potential for the best defense, but their offense sucks. I know they got Russell Wilson, but he got 5 yards for the season in 2 games. That's right. He's got 5 yards for the season in 2 games. I'm sorry what happened to Trey Lance for the 49ers, but I'm telling you, and I hope I put it in the other video, this coach for 49ers, and there's something wrong with this guy. He can't close out games. He couldn't close out games with the Falcons. Couldn't close out the game I keep complaining about with the Kansas City with Mahomes, the Tyreek Hill twice, and beats him in the Super Bowl. They were celebrating with 7 minutes to go. Well, there's not 53 minutes in a football game. There's 60 minutes. And this guy, he makes these strange decisions, these strange calls. His clock management sucks too. And then he just started Trey Lance. He started 2 games last year, and he didn't look impressive at all to me. I kept thinking, why? But so I thought, well, maybe he got arguing with the coach. And Garoppolo's he's kind of out there a little bit. But Garoppolo, when he was with New England, he was fantastic. He was the heir apparent. And I don't want to get into that. I think the 49ers defense, they got beat-slapped in Chicago in that rainstorm. And Chicago only won because of monsoon. It was a monsoon for them too. Okay, they won the game. They were getting ready to lose 17-0, and they couldn't score. Bears got the ball, ran right down the field, and they scored 19 straight unanswered points and won the game 19-10. If I had to pick one of these 3 games to be the road team, I got to take the 49ers. I'm only laying 1.5. I would have to lay 3.5 with Arizona if I'm the Rams. Rams are not impressive. Rams they get a big lead, they mail it in. 10-10 halftime, it was a 17-17 halftime when they were playing the Bills week 1. So they were in the game. When Buffalo got ahead real quick, they mailed it in. Not good. Really big last week. They mailed it in, and let the Falcons get back in the game. When they want to, they can do this. They're still the Super Bowl reigning champs. Murray, he's on a roll now. Would you rather face Murray Would you rather face Tom Brady or Russell Wilson in decline and a coach who can't do? If he's got diarrhea, he's the kind of coach that he pulls in his pants, he misses the toilet. He will not be there at the end of this year. Trust me, they made a bad hire with this guy, and they're going to realize that, and that's going to be the end of him. So I'm taking the San Francisco 49ers -1.5, and I just think the 49ers is the plain better team, and their defense is just as good, if not better, than the Broncos. That's going to be the difference. I think Jimmy G is going to be the difference. They play 72% ball when Jimmy G's the quarterback, whereas Trey Lance and everybody else, they're not even 500. The Broncos have a couple key injuries I want to talk about real quick here, which even though 2 out of 3 tickets are on the 49ers, and I don't normally take these teams, but their injury list, I saw something I didn't like on the Broncos side. They got injury list a mile long, almost like the Ravens and the Patriots. Phillips, the starter, defensive back, hamstring. He ain't playing. Jones, defensive tackle, questionable ankle. He's not going to play. Gregory, linebacker, questionable knee. He's not going to play. Jewell, the linebacker, questionable calf. He might play, but is he 100%? No, he's not. But this one right here, this Jay Judy, the wide receiver that Russell Wilson was doing pretty well with, he got hit in the chest. He got a chest injury, a strange injury, questionable. That's huge for the Broncos. Patrick Surtain, all-pro cornerback, shoulder, questionable. He's not playing. On the 49ers side, they got Trey Lance. He's out for the year, injuries or the ankle. But we got a serious upgrade with Jimmy Garoppolo. Armstead, defensive lineman, foot. I think he's going to play. He's a beast for a defensive end. Kittle, tight end, questionable groin. He's probably not going to play. Groin injuries are bad for any player in any position. And other than that, I don't see anything here that's that bad. And looking ahead, they got the Rams coming in at home next week. They could be looking ahead, but you know what? I don't think so. They got to win these road games. And the 49ers are actually a decent road team. They won almost all their games on the road last year. Some teams are just playing road teams, and I think the 49ers is a road team. They lose at home a lot. And the Broncos, they're looking forward to next week. They got the Vegas coming in town. So who knows what this Hackett coach, this guy for the Broncos, is going to do. Those are my 5 picks. New England, Carolina, Tennessee, Jacksonville, and the San Francisco 49ers. 2-team teaser. We're taking the Detroit Lions +12, Tampa Bay Buccaneers +5. So wish me luck. I wish everybody else luck. Stay within your means. Always right there to be an American. Thank you, and see you next week. More winners coming.